Wristwatches have been worn since the end of the 19th century to the present. During the Second World War, German pilots in particular wore high-quality chronographs to coordinate attacks accurately. These Luftwaffe chronographs were made by two different German watch manufacturers, Glashütte and Hanhardt. The Hanhardt company made the first aviator chronographs as early as 1939 and probably produced the most units. Tuttima of Glashütte's Uhrenfabrik AG began producing chronographs in 1941. The watches were similar in appearance, although several case variations were produced. Since the components were sourced from different suppliers, there are therefore diverse variants even within the different model series. The first watches Hanhardt produced were variants with only one chronograph button. Pressing the chronograph button once starts the integrated stopwatch. When the button is pressed again, the time stops. If the button is pressed a third time, the time is reset to 0. These push-in chronographs were available with rotating bezel and without rotating bezel. The bezel with its red dot, or in earlier models a marker arrow, was aligned with the minute hand to record a given flying distance. In 1941, the watches with two chronograph buttons were issued for the first time. The clock now had a button to stop or start the stopwatch and a button that reset or restarted the time. Often, the lower pusher was painted in red color. Legend has it that the aviator brides painted the lower pusher of the chronograph red with nail polish for their husbands, as a sign of solidarity. The true background may have been of a more practical nature. The flyback pusher was painted red for better identification, as accidental pressing threatened to abort the current stop. The chronographs with two buttons were produced by Hanhardt and Glashütte and were also available with and without bezel. The three-pointer watches from Hanhardt are a specialty. They are chronograph movements which were reduced to the basic function of hour, minute and small seconds. And there were also watches with sterile dial, which had no manufacturer logo. However, you can easily differentiate a Hanhardt from a Tuttima. The distances between the pushers and the crown are different. On a Hanhardt, the upper pusher is further away from the crown, and on a Glashütte Tuttima, the lower pusher is further away from the crown than the upper one. Furthermore, the manufacturers differ in the watch movements. Thus, both have used different bridges. The bridges from Tuttima of Glashütte had hard shapes, whereas the bridges at Hanhardt were softer. By looking at the case, you can tell if a watch is an early or a late variant. In an early variant, the case was made of one piece. The later ones have thinner case walls, as well as thinner soldered lugs. The watches were marked in the movement or on the back cover with a 6-digit serial number, starting at the 100,000 and ending at about the 127,000 at the end of the war. The German pilot watches are very rare these days and a valuable collector's item, which is in the upper 4-digit price range.